This is Elizabeth Davis, and what I'm about to share isn't speculation. It's a crisis unfolding right now on California's highways. After 4.5 years of legal battles, the trucking industry just lost. The consequences are dismantling American commerce as we know it. 70,000 independent truckers are being forced out of California, not next year, not next month, but today. If you care about supply chains, the price of goods, or the future of logistics in America, pay close attention. The biggest carriers aren't just warning drivers anymore. Companies like Landstar are telling truckers to pack up and leave California completely. This isn't a slowdown, it's a mass exodus. What kind of law is so extreme that it empties highways and cripples America's busiest ports? The answer begins with a courtroom defeat that sent shockwaves through every dispatch center from San Diego to Sacramento. Within 3 days of the legal defeat, carriers statewide scrambled into crisis mode. Landstar, a respected name in freight logistics, sent urgent advisories. The message was clear: California had become a liability. The new legal reality meant audits, fines, and retroactive penalties stretching back years. Drivers who spent decades building relationships with California shippers faced an impossible choice: stay and risk financial ruin, or walk away from everything. Industry conversations shifted overnight. It wasn't about finding the next load anymore. It was about survival. Carriers made cold calculations. Some quietly pulled California freight from their load boards. Others warned drivers to avoid any shipment originating in the state. Owner-operators saw their phones go silent. One driver put it perfectly: "One week I'm hauling produce from the Central Valley. The next week, nothing." Risk managers and attorneys reached the same grim conclusion: better to lose California business now than face six-figure penalties later. This wasn't panic. It was calculated retreat. For independent truckers, the math was even more brutal. These aren't corporate employees with safety nets. These are small business owners who bet everything on moving freight. The law that broke everything, AB 5. To understand this crisis, you need to understand Assembly Bill 5, signed into law in September 2019. AB 5 introduced the ABC test to determine if a worker is an independent contractor or employee. To stay independent, you must pass all 3 parts. Prong A: freedom from company control. Most owner-operators pass easily. Prong C: operating an established trade. Truckers qualify. They invest heavily in equipment. Prong B: this is where everything collapses. Prong B requires that work must be outside the hiring company's usual business. For truckers leased to motor carriers, this is impossible. Hauling freight is the core business of every trucking company. The moment an owner-operator moves a load, the law presumes they're an employee. Other professions saw this coming and secured exemptions. Doctors, insurance brokers, real estate agents. Truckers got nothing. For 70,000 owner-operators, Prong B isn't a guideline. It's a locked door. The independence they spent decades building, all erased by one clause. AB 5 offers 2 options: become an employee or leave the state. For most truckers, the choice is already made. They're leaving. Every statistic represents a real person. Many drive rigs worth $150,000 or more, financed through savings, family loans, and sheer determination. These aren't gig workers picking up shifts. These are entrepreneurs who shoulder every cost: insurance, fuel, maintenance. They bet everything on keeping their wheels turning. AB 5 doesn't threaten jobs. It dismantles businesses. Converting an independent contractor to an employee adds payroll taxes, insurance, and workers' comp. For a single truck, that burden is tens of thousands annually. Truckers didn't build businesses to become employees again. They see no path forward. Then came January 1st. Across California, 473 gas stations closed permanently. The cause? Senate Bill 445, a mandate requiring every fuel station to upgrade underground storage tanks at up to $2 million per site. Most small operators couldn't afford it. State assistance stalled. Fines mounted. Hundreds of family-run stations simply gave up. The closures hit rural communities hardest. Stations that served as the only fuel source for 20 or 30 miles vanished. Locked pumps, faded signs, empty lots. For trucks still operating in California, a new threat emerged: running out of fuel. Highway stretches that once had stations every 10 miles now have gaps of 50 miles or more. Emergency responders feel it too. Fire trucks and ambulances in rural counties drive 30 miles just to refuel, adding critical minutes to response times. Then the refineries started closing. In October 2025, Phillips 66 shut down its Los Angeles refinery, eliminating 8% of California's fuel output. 6 months later, Valero announced its Benicia facility would close. Together, these closures erase more than 17% of California's refining capacity in under 12 months. When refineries go dark, the effects cascade. Trucking companies face higher costs. California's fuel system has lost its flexibility. Any disruption can send prices soaring. The port crisis. The ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach handle nearly 40% of all shipping containers entering the U.S. But that flow is breaking down. As owner-operators leave and fuel stations close, fewer trucks show up. Port supervisors track containers stacking higher in terminal yards. Dwell times increase. Shipping companies are quietly rerouting contracts to Texas and East Coast ports. The calculus is simple: move to states with stable logistics. This isn't a temporary California problem, it's a national crisis. These ports are the primary gateway for Asian goods, electronics, clothing, automotive parts. The perfect storm. Not one catastrophic event, but a series of policy decisions colliding. AB 5 drives out truckers. SB 445 closes fuel stations. Refineries shut down. The ports buckle. California didn't plan for this convergence, but consequences don't care about intent. The state is paralyzing the supply chain that moves 40% of America's imports. Companies are making long-term decisions to move business elsewhere. This isn't a temporary disruption, it's a structural shift. Once complete, reversing it will be nearly impossible. California built world-class logistics infrastructure over decades, but infrastructure is fragile. It depends on people, fuel, and capital. When policies drive those away, the system breaks. 70,000 truckers forced out, gas stations closed, refineries shut down. The ports face an uncertain future. For truckers who've left, they're not coming back. The question is whether California will recognize this crisis before it becomes permanent. If you found this valuable, subscribe and share. This story is just beginning.